Hey everybody. Okay, we're going to continue reading from Greek Myths, Volume 1. Today's story is one of my favorites. It's called The Story of Arachne. The gods of Mount Olympus were kind enough to human beings when it suited them. For instance, when the Titan Prometheus made the world's first humans out of clay, the gods soon noticed that they had no idea how to look after themselves and stepped in to help. Demeter, the corn goddess, showed them how to grow crops and plant orchards and make vegetable gardens. Hephaestus, the god of fire, taught them to forge metal and become craftsmen. Athena, the wisest of the gods, taught them cooking, spinning, and weaving so that they had hot meals and warm clothes to wear. But in return for being so obliging, the gods expected people to be grateful. Each god wanted a temple, or better still, lots of temples, built in their honor and named after them. They expected people to bring gifts to the temples and to sing songs in their praises. That made them happy, and if they were happy, they were kind. But they were very touchy. If people didn't thank them enough, or worse still, claimed to be their equal in any way, their anger was terrible. One foolish person who forgot this was a young girl called Arachne. Arachne was quite an ordinary girl, and not particularly beautiful or clever, but she had one quality that all her friends envied. She was amazingly nimble-fingered. No one could spin thread faster than Arachne or make it so silky and fine. If only we could do work like Arachne's, her friends sighed. For in those days, when cloth was made by hand, all girls had to spend a lot of time spinning and weaving. You need to have the hands for it, said Arachne, spreading out her fingers and admiring them. It was true that they were extraordinarily long and slender. That's why I have such a quick, light touch, she explained with a satisfied air. Thick-fingered people can't compare with me. And with the airy thread she spun, Arachne wove cloth that was a miracle of loveliness. Gossamer fine fabrics and patterned wall hangings with scenes of trees and birds and sun and stars, fit for the walls of a king's palace. People crowded round to watch her at work. She was so quick that the threads seemed to dance into place of their own accord. And as the length of cloth grew on the loom, its leaves and flowers seemed to unfold like living things. How wonderful, her admirers sighed. Arachne could charm the birds out of the skies to visit trees like hers. You have to judge the colors and effects, said Arachne. I don't think anyone has such an eye for pattern as myself. No one dreamed of contradicting her. Everyone praised Arachne. You would think that Athena herself had taught her, said a friend. Athena, laughed Arachne. She couldn't teach me anything. A born artist doesn't need a teacher. Athena would look pretty silly if she had to compete with me. Among the crowd that gathered in the doorway of Arachne's home to watch her work was a bent old woman wrapped in a cloak. She pushed her way forward now and shook her stick at her. You're a bold young lady, she croaked, to boast of being better than the gods. If you'll take the advice of an old woman, you'll beg Athena to forget those foolish words. I wouldn't beg Athena for a bodkin, retorted Arachne, and I don't need advice from an old crone like you. You can keep it for your grandchildren. Then the old woman grew tall and straight and threw off her old gray cloak. A blaze of light filled the room, for it was the goddess Athena herself. The look that she gave Arachne was terrifying. People shrank back and bowed to the ground. Even Arachne leapt to her feet and seemed about to kneel, but her pride would not let her. I may have spoken hastily, she said, and for that I ask your pardon, but let our work prove whether I have said anything untrue. Miserable mortal, do you dare to challenge me? Exclaimed Athena. Then I accept the challenge, and we shall see. The tall goddess and the young woman set up their looms, one on each side of the room, and began to weave. News of the contest spread fast and wide, and people packed themselves into Arachne's cottage to get a glimpse of the work. Others peered through the windows or waited around outside. Athena laid her helmet and spear, tucked the long folds of her gown into a girdle, and set to work. A rainbow design shot with gold and silver unfolded beneath her hands upon the loom. After a while, she laid down her boxwood shuttle and gave her work an approving look. Then she turned to see what her rival had been doing. The people around Arachne's loom were looking worried and rather fearful. When Athena saw what Arachne had woven, she knew why. Arachne's tapestry showed stories of the gods, but not in their majestic moments. She had chosen to show the most ridiculous things they did, such as Zeus changing himself into a bull for love and his wife Hera spying on him, green with envy. But far more unforgivable than this was the fact that the weaving was perfect. Arachne's tapestry was in every way the equal of Athena's. The goddess saw this at a glance, and in a fury, she ripped Arachne's cloth from top to bottom. Arachne must begin her work again, she hissed, and again and again. Hateful girl, you shall weave forever, and no one shall ever praise you or want your work upon their walls. She struck Arachne on the forehead with her shuttle, and at once the girl began to shrink. Before the horrified gaze of her friends, her slim body became round and bloated. She grew smaller and smaller until her arms and legs disappeared, leaving only the fingers she had been so proud of, which now sprouted from her shoulder as quivering black legs. Ugh, shrieked everyone. A spider. Arachne scuttled away underneath a chest and did not dare show herself till it was dark. Then she crept out and spun a web across the corner of her loom, and from that day to this, Arachne and her descendants have been spinning, and people say, drat, there's another cobweb, and brush their work away. All right, so I wanted to share with you the pictures from this one. All right. So starting out, here is Arachne being watched by her friends when she was weaving in the beginning and boasting about how great a weaver she was. And here is the goddess Athena doing her own weaving. Actually, this may be the one she's angry. She looks angry. And then we have Arachne turned into a spider. What she probably learned was no matter if it's true or not, do not say you're better than the gods, right? That's a big mistake. All right. Okay, hope you enjoyed that story, and I will record more and put them up, and I will see you guys next week. All right, thank you.